Welcome in to, dare I say, a special edition of Sportball. I'm
Extra
your boy
special.
Sam. With me, as always, are Seth and Kyle. I'm 2 beers deep, technically speaking. Seth has a new puppy. Kyle just got ice cream. It's the NBA trade deadline. It's the Super Bowl. The boys are back, baby.
Big day for all of us.
I'm coming fresh off that blueberry Johnny cake.
Mm.
Some
And
might
he's
not know
not
what
talking
that
ice
means.
cream.
Plus, it's not every day that you get to hear a emergency podcast 1 week later
We,
after the most shocking trade in NBA history.
when we heard Luka Doncic was traded, we stopped everything. And a week later, turned on the mics.
You guys don't understand what I went through when this happened.
I
I think
understand.
we
I was
do.
right there.
No. You don't understand. I'm in Indiana. We're
Set,
staying at
set the
a
scene.
friend's place, one of Megan's friends. Riley, our daughter,
Mm.
is sleeping one at the foot of the bed, uh, in a blow-up mattress thing. Megan is asleep next to me. I literally just went upstairs and went into bed. Not 5 minute passes. And I get an alert from Shams. Sharani, of course.
He just calls him.
And it said Luka Doncic is being traded to the LA Lakers for Anthony Davis. I was like, no way. He's hacked. This is one of the
Yeah.
most funny things possible that a hacker could do.
Yeah.
Everybody on Twitter is like, he's hacked. NBA players are like, he's got to be hacked. He follows up the tweet saying, I am not hacked. This is true. We have ESPN
It's exactly what a
employees,
hacker would say.
ESPN employees quote tweeting him saying, just got off the phone with Shams. This is not false. Or this
One
is.
of those people was
Yeah.
Kyle.
I immediately texted everyone.
Correct.
And mind you, this was at midnight Eastern
11
time. So
p.m. our
11
time,
o'clock
yeah.
for you guys. I didn't hear anything for 20 plus minutes. And I'm laying in bed. I can't make a noise. I can't say anything. And I'm going crazy. I'm like, this can't be real. This can't be happening.
Yeah,
And
I
then
would.
my daughter got
Yeah.
up and she got into bed with us and is like kicking me. I'm
She's
trying
like,
to tell
Daddy,
her
was Luka Doncic traded?
it's not a nightmare. It's happening.
I was out with Matt, loyal listener, and not a locked in sports fan, at a board game bar. And we come back to his apartment. We're chilling. I'm calling an Uber. I see Kyle's text. I don't speak to Matt for the next 15 minutes while in his apartment. I'm just freaking out. I'm texting everyone. It's as if I'm not even there. And on the Uber ride home, I'm just texting everyone. I was so distracted. I left his birthday gift or Christmas, I guess it must have been his Christmas gift. I left it in the Uber because I was so distracted. I had to
Again?
run after the Uber as it was driving away, open the door as it was still moving. I had to grab his Christmas
Nice.
gift back.
His gift to you or your gift to him? His
It was a
gift to
gift
you,
for us
right?
all. Yeah. Yeah, his gift to
Didn't you
me.
do something similar with a book recently?
Yeah, maybe it could be a me problem. Might not be a
Seems to be a
breaking
pattern.
trade news problem. Seth, what was your story of how you found out?
So we were celebrating Jasmine's birthday, and like all people who turn 34, we decided to do this by going to an indoor water park.
Naturally.
So we did that. It was great. Stayed overnight. And so we had gone out to dinner. We're at the hotel, like just enjoying each other's company. And then, so I was asleep when it all happened. And then I woke up to 149 missed texts.
It's
Low.
honestly pretty
Just,
light because Nick wasn't texting us either. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It was all
just
from
from the
me and
two of
Kyle.
you. Yeah. Um, and
Uh,
then I just was like, okay, what could have happened? And then I scrolled all the way back to the top to the first screenshot of Sham's first tweet. And I was like, holy shit. What? And then Jasmine will tell you, I was like, she, I was up, she was like just waking up, and I'm reading through all your texts. And when I finally read them all and responded. And I told Jasmine, and I'm like, I'm shaking right now. Like I'm in shock. And she's like,
Yeah.
what happened? Luka
There's like a
Doncic was
I
traded.
think there's like a death in the family. It's like Luca
Yeah.
was traded.
The next
Uh
morning, Megan woke up and I was like, "You won't believe what happened last night." She's like, "What?" I was like, "One of the best players in all of basketball in an unheralded trade got traded in the middle of the night while I was laying next to you and
unheralded
Riley."
is crazy.
And she said, "Oh, I thought it was something major." I was like, "You don't understand."
And it was.
Yeah. It's so hard to describe. It's like, we were talking, there's all these pop culture references, right? It's like Destiny's
Yeah.
Child traded Beyonce, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's also like in today's day and age, there's always rumors.
Right.
Usually we spend a week where it's like so and so demanded a trade or this team is rumored to be shopping this player. We spend a week thinking about, okay, who are the usual teams? It's like, all right, there's three teams that have emerged as contenders, and
Yeah.
we know something's going to happen. This was completely out of the blue,
It's
just
the yeah.
shock.
It's the most shocking NBA trade of my lifetime, maybe in history. And
Got to
it
be in history.
could turn out to be one of the most consequential as well. Um, let's dive into it. Let's dive into the NBA trade deadline. For those of you that are craving, yearning for a Super Bowl preview, you'll
You
get
like how
it.
we started with
Okay.
NBA first to keep them here?
You'll get your dessert at the end of the pod. Eat your vegetables. Listen to this NBA trade recap. Okay. Um, so let's start with the blockbuster. Luca to the Lakers. Luca Maxi Kleba, maybe, Seth? Is that correct
Kleba, yeah.
pronunciation? Or Kaleba?
Labor would be ideal, but I'm
Zoom
not
tech.
a stickler about it. So
What the hell did you just say? And Markieff Morris, who I didn't realize was still in the league, were traded to LA. The Mavs get Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 29 first. Didn't even get a second first, just one. Utah, they get the Jazz in line. They say, don't ask what we're doing, but come on in here. They said,
I
sure,
don't
we'll
understand
take.
how this happens, but go ahead.
They said, sure, we'll take Jalen Hood Schifino in 2 seconds. I mean, Danny Ainge just was rock hard hearing the fact that he might receive 2 seconds for helping out something he doesn't even know is happening. I think the headline for this trade, as we can all agree,
You think?
is that the
Markieff Morris.
Mavericks are dumb, especially their GM Nico Harrison, because Luka did not ask for a trade. He's,
Luka
you
just bought a
know,
$15 million house in Dallas
yeah, and he's
like
the
a
third
week
best.
ago.
Yeah, and he's like the third best player in the league at worst. He's 25 years old. This is a player you just do not trade. If I had Luka, I would only trade him probably for Wemby and Jokic. That might be it. Um, not ask for a trade. He didn't want out, but Nico
I don't even think you
Harris.
trade him for Jokic.
Yeah, I
Go
might
ahead.
not. Nico Harrison called his friend Rob Pelinka and was like, "Listen, I'm thinking about trading Luka." The Lakers didn't even ask, and
It
then Rob
it
was
came
like,
up
"Are you
over
fucking joking?"
it came up over actually a cup of coffee and pictures of that meeting of them having coffee came out today actually.
Oh my God. I told our friends, it was like when me and Seth like make a fantasy trade. I feel like I've just been duped by my friend. Uh and Rob said, sure. No one else knew. He didn't offer the trade to anyone else. If he had offered around the league, he could have gotten multiple firsts. He might have gotten, I don't know, Giannis or something. I mean, who knows? But it was only between the two of them. And since then, Nico has leaked that he thinks that Luca has poor conditioning. He basically fat shamed Luca after he left, even though he led
It
the
was a week
NBA
of fat shaming.
100%, even though he led the NBA in minutes last year and led them to the finals.
They're reporting that he was the fourth heaviest player in the NBA at 270 pounds.
First of all, I don't give a shit. Okay? I don't care what his weight is. He just led you to the finals, and
Yeah.
he's calling it a win now move when he traded for a player that's worse than the one he gave away. Kyle, this is absolutely cannot be explained away by the Mavericks and is incomprehensible and reprehensible by Nico Harrison.
When your ticket office offers to refund fans that are canceling their season tickets because of a decision your GM made, and your GM also has to hire multiple security guards for their first home game because he's getting death threats, you should know it probably wasn't the best thing. And the fact that it had to be so secretive, it's like, what were you expecting the reaction to be? You obviously had to have an idea if you didn't want literally anybody besides you, the other GM, and then that's really it involved and the owners of each of those teams. So like the news today or yesterday, whatever it was, too, of like Luca doesn't get us fully to where we want to be. And it's like he just led you to an NBA finals and led the entire league last year in minutes played, led almost every category in the finals, points, rebounds, assists, and something else, maybe blocks. I
Conference
don't even know.
finals 33-9-9. Oh,
I don't know
he's
what
in
more you
poor
could ask
condition?
for. There's obviously, I mean, I think it was telling, obviously, last year during the finals. Again, the team ran into an absolute buzzsaw. What are you going to do? The fact is, what is he, year 5, and you made it to the finals? Or year 6, I guess, and you made it to the
It's ahead of
finals?
schedule, if anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've been talking about it with Tatum and Jaylen Brown for years, like, and it's just the course of history in the NBA. Players don't usually win at 25. That's a couple years before we would kind of expect them to, especially
Yeah.
players of that status. So, like, now you're anchoring your team on a 32-year-old who was 100% bought into the dynamic of the team with having a ball dominant superstar. You've made these incredible trades over the course of the last season and a half that one, you were worried about defense. You ended up last year with the top 5 defense in the NBA. You were ton of injuries this year, and you're still a top 10 defense
Yeah.
and winning games. You're still in the playoffs without your superstar. Uh, it's truly an unfathomable trade to do, and
Yeah.
to come out of it with only one draft pick, one first round draft
Oh,
pick. Now, again, most of those draft picks aren't really going to be that great anyways because you just traded Luca, so
get a swap.
he's going to guarantee you that those picks are bottom 5 to 10 anyways in the first round. But still, those are assets to use for the future then to continue to build your team, which you just completely disregarded. Now, I will say, everyone's shitting on Nico Harrison. We really need to be giving Rob Pelinka his flowers for the way he did this because the original offer or request, I guess, included Connect, included the additional first round pick. I think it included another draft pick. And Pelinka basically said he gaslit him into being like, I mean, you're right. Luca is fat. Luca does have a drinking problem. I don't think we should be investing that much in him. And Nico's like, you know what? Take him away. What will you give us? Shout out Rob, dude. Pelinka
It's
just went
literally, yeah.
hard.
It's literally like when me and Seth make a fantasy trade. He's like, ah, I don't know if you
I
really
don't
want
think I do
Josh
that
Allen.
well.
Josh Allen, he's too busy partying with Haley Steinfeld. I'm not sure. That's what he said to me. But yeah, Seth, it's like Nico calls this, he says defense wins championships. I'm all about defense. So he trades for Anthony Davis. He obviously targeted Anthony Davis. When he had a top 3 defense last year, after the trade deadline on their run to the finals with Luka on his team. And it just seems like he was making a bet against Luka Doncic, thinking he's going to be the next Joel Embiid, right? Often injured, often when this guy, first of all, is way better than Embiid ever has been, especially in the playoffs. Doesn't really miss that many games. And if you're betting against him, get a couple more first round picks if you think the Lakers aren't going to be good with Luka on their team. I mean, this is just indescribably bad.
Yeah, so you can almost see the logic of wanting to get out of the Luca business,
No, you can't.
right? That's why I said
Almost.
almost. You can't really, but you talk yourself into, okay, he brought us to the finals, but he wasn't locked in on defense. Conditioning becomes a problem. He's had some injuries this year, whatever. Obviously, I disagree. You shouldn't trade him. That's ridiculous. He has accomplished more in his first 5 years in the league than Joel Embiid has in his entire career. But if you're gonna do that, the return is just unconscionably bad.
Agreed.
And going with, okay, well, defense wins championships, and I'm worried about conditioning. So let's get Anthony Davis, who's one of the most injury-prone superstars that we've seen in the last 10 years.
The last 2 years he's been pretty good, to be honest with you. But
True.
besides the point,
But
he's getting older, so you would expect more,
Right. Yeah.
right,
more missed games.
right. The age difference is huge. He's 6 years older than Luka, and even at his peak, he's not as good as Luka is. So long term, it's really a bad trade, and short term, you're not getting better either, right?
Right.
We'll see how the Mavericks end up meshing after this. You can, Nico Harrison is betting on roster construction wise. They're going to rely on Kyrie Irving to be the playmaker. You've got Anthony Davis as a finisher, better on defense, whatever. But just
Risky.
on paper, Luka is a better player than Davis right now, and obviously will be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And the worst part is, like you said, Sam, they're making this big bet against Luka, and by trading him when he didn't want to be traded and just blindsiding him when he was ready to spend his whole career in Dallas,
You pissed him
you're
off.
guaranteeing that he's gonna fuck you. So
Yeah. 100%.
He's the pettiest player in the NBA, or up there.
if there was one way to get him in
100%.
shape, it was to do exactly what they did. So
Yes.
they're just screwed now, and you know that because of the reaction of the Mavs fan base. Obviously,
Protests.
death threats over the line. Like,
Agreed.
it's shouldn't be that big of a deal. This is still sports. That being said, I totally understand players who are fans who are upset. It's like we care about this franchise. We had the next at least 10 years locked in where Luka Doncic is going to be part of our lives, and you took that away from us for no good reason.
I mean,
And even Nico Harrison is saying, "Oh, the future for me is like 3 to 4 years. Beyond that, I'm not
What?
going to be
You're
here
worse
anyway."
for the next 3 to 4 years.
Imagine being a fan and hearing that. Like, we actually care about this franchise. You're
Yeah.
making decisions that impact us longer than 4 years. How could you say that you don't care about it?
Also, you made the
It's
wrong
just
decision if you want to be
malpractice.
good for the next 3 years. Keep the best player in the league. What the hell are you doing?
I mean, just what would the turmoil have been within the fan base if Dirk was traded after the first finals appearance
Right.
that they didn't win? Like,
Right.
Yeah,
and
06.
then it was what? It was 3 or 4 years later, 4 years later, right? Maybe 5 even, where they made
Yeah,
it back to the
5.
finals and won
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And it meant so
they
much,
went
right?
through all that. It meant the world to the team, to that fan base, obviously. And then
Yeah.
you get down to the end of Dirk's career, it's sad, and you get just handed to you Luka,
Right.
the successor,
Mm.
a better player than probably Dirk ever has been and
Yeah.
ever will be, already at age 25. 6 seasons in, he takes you to that first finals, and he's just gone for a bag of chips. It's insane.
And the thing I haven't heard other people talk about is, if you're a Mavs fan, what are the franchises that you hate the most? Who are your biggest rivals? Probably Spurs, right?
Yeah.
All those years, Tim Duncan, whatever. After that, probably Lakers, right?
Yeah.
Houston, Lakers, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, if the other example is, I think about, it's like after 2022, if the Celtics traded Jason Tatum to the Sixers,
Yeah.
it's like we would never have allowed it.
Right. And
It's
You
it's
don't
like,
have anyone dumb enough to do it.
Yeah.
and you think about it, it's like you spent your whole life, your whole career trying to find a player like this if you work for a team. Like the Bulls haven't had one since MJ. We thought we had one with Rose. He blew out his ACL. Like,
We did have one with Rose.
right. And
It
it's
just
like,
didn't last.
yeah, exactly. Like you could spend a generation trying to find a player like this. Some teams have never found it.
That's what
And-
we could say that there's a greater chance that the Mavs never come upon a player of this caliber again in the history of their franchise than there is that they do. I'm pretty
100%.
confident of that.
100%. And like you just trade him away, and like they talk about being a win now move, but like looking at this team going forward, you're right, Seth. You're relying on Kyrie to be your primary playmaker, and he's been great on Dallas, right? But
Biggest
he's
all-star snub of the year.
I agree. But he's kind of on one of those things where we'll have 30 for 2 games or 3 games, 11 for the fourth. And like that's great next to Luka, right? That's fine. Now Kyrie's your main scorer, your main ball handler, and he's
The only
32.
creator on the team.
Yeah,
Literally
he's
only
30.
guy that
Yeah.
could create his own shot.
He's 32. He's a better Robin than Batman, Kyle. Like he's past the point where I can be relying on him for 4 series in the playoffs as my main playmaker. Like that's a step back for me,
Yeah.
especially this year.
And that's my biggest gripe with this current roster now. Like, I agree. Obviously, AD does leaps and bounds for any defense.
Yeah.
Their roster construction as is, like, say Luka was never in the picture, and this is just the team that we have to look at and work with. I think they're phenomenal.
Right. If I didn't know anything beforehand, I'm like,
If
oh,
we
this
knew
is a cool
nothing
team.
beforehand. I think they're gonna end up the second half of the season probably being a top 3 defense in the league.
They
There's no
definitely should
doubt.
be. Yeah.
There's no doubt. I mean, they just put the clamps on Boston, and AD and PJ weren't even in the game. The thing is like, if you do ultimately end up winning a championship this year or next year, not confident in that anyways, especially with the moves that other West teams made at the trade deadline. But if you do, does one championship now outweigh the possibilities of 2 to 4 championships over the next 10 years?
Right.
No.
Obviously not. Yeah.
And especially after you like scorned fans,
Right.
I don't even know how they feel about a championship. Like, no one's going to turn around and be like, Nico, you were right.
Right.
They're going to be happy that they won, but at the same time mad because they know that who knows the next time they're going to do it.
Right.
But if
And like,
one with Luka, you'd be like, there's an
yeah.
opportunity here to do this again next year or in 2 years. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
And it's like he's saying like this gives us the best chance to win a chip this year. No, the best chance to win a championship this year was with Luka Doncic. That's the only reason I was considering you a contender. And now I don't really. And like you can be good on defense, but I'm not going to believe in your half court offense in the playoffs. And Seth, it's like I don't know. We're relying on Kyrie and
It's
AD.
flabbergasting.
Relying on Kyrie and AD for a playoff run and saying that's our best chance at a championship. This doesn't sit right with me, and I don't agree with the premise.
Yeah, huge mistake. Everyone knows it except Nico. He, I don't know, just thought too hard about it, just overanalyzed it. He's just, I don't know. There's no excuse for it. It's unconscionable. He should lose his job over it. And his disregard for the Mavericks' long-term future is frankly insulting to their fans. So it's a shame.
Agreed.
I feel bad for Mavericks fans. On the other side,
The Lakers are set up for a
how
decade.
did this happen?
They always do
For the
this.
Lakers?
Should we just go right into what the Lakers
Wilt,
did?
Shaq. It doesn't matter. They do it every time.
It's
Absolutely
infuriating, frankly.
blessed franchise. Just given.
Born on third base.
You hear these rumors too after these trades happen. Who knows if it was actually true or not? But rumors came out that the Lakers weren't planning on extending AD this offseason when he was going to be available to be extended anyways, and they were essentially going to look for a trade in the summer anyways. Who knows? Could have been either way. Great move on their part. They also made another pretty interesting trade. I don't know if we get right into that too.
Yeah, let me set it up. So after this trade, there was some talk about, well, their defense is going to be worse. Might take a step back this year, which if that was true, and also they have no center now. If all of that was true, you still do the trade, right? Obviously, because you're set up for a decade with Luka. Who cares if you take a step back this year? Then they turned around and traded Dalton Connect, their 31 first, and Cam Reddish for Mark Williams from the Charlotte Hornets, who probably the best center prospect out there, who is he probably wasn't even available. They just blew him away with the offer. Huge ceiling, great lob threat. Only issue has been staying healthy. If he can stay healthy, he's the perfect fit next to Luka for years to come. He's younger than Dalton Knecht, their rookie.
The youngest player in the trade.
Yeah. So I think that really sets up their ceiling for this year. Let me walk you guys through this. I'm gonna walk you guys through a take. You're not gonna agree with it. You can berate me afterwards. You ready?
Love these.
I think after this move for Mark Williams, the Lakers are, in my mind, the only team besides the Nuggets I would pick to make the Western Conference Finals in the West. I think they're head and shoulders with the Nuggets and OKC above everyone else in the West. I want to read to you, okay? I think they're basically the Mavs of last year. Let me tell you why. Who famously made the finals, okay? So
Who do they
Luka's
have who the Mavs had last year?
So Luka's Luka, we know that.
Oh.
Austin Reeves is a homeless man's Kyrie. Again, stay with me. Don't say anything yet. Okay? Don't speak.
No.
Don't speak. Dorian Finney-Smith is a better Derrick Jones Jr., obviously. He can actually shoot. LeBron, PJ Washington, but he's the greatest player of all time.
LeBron
okay? Don't speak yet. Mark Williams is Daniel Gafford. Comes from a Eastern team in the dredges. Okay?
He comes from Charlotte.
Yes, same thing as
Luka
Washington.
and Charlotte centers go hand in hand. We know this.
Well, Gafford was Washington, but it's the
Gafford
same thing.
That's true. Yeah.
They're not that great on defense, but you see the potential. Once they reach a contender, they start to play defense. If Mark stays healthy, he's gonna be like Daniel Gafford, and this team might make the Western Conference Finals. What do you think about that? Now you can speak.
Daniel Gafford last year at one point had 33 straight consecutive made field goals because of Luka.
And the thing is, Mark Williams is like him, but with worse eyes.
I'm not sure what that means.
Great.
Daniel Gafford has the best eyes in the league. You know that.
You meant just
hauntingly beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you meant like
now you guys may speak. I think that the Mavs of this year. Tell me why I'm wrong.
I don't necessarily disagree with you.
Something's just rubbing his face.
I don't know that the player by player comparison is.
That's the one thing I have a problem with.
You don't think LeBron is PJ Washington, but better?
LeBron at age 40 is averaging 25, 8, and 9.
Is that good?
Without they've been missing some people on the Lakers over the last couple games.
I just think their offense
33, 12, and 10 over their last 3 games.
That's insane.
32, 10, and 10 over their last 5, and 29, 8, and 10 over their last 7. He's 40 years old, and you just added a top 3 basketball mind at the age of 25 onto this roster.
That's why you got to take them seriously, dude. I think they might be the second best team in the West. I mean, you got to respect Jokic.
Along with this acquisition extended LeBron's career potentially by another 2 years.
He's playing until he's 50.
I saw something that was like the biggest question now for the Lakers' future is how are they going to rebuild around LeBron when Luka retires?
Valid.
Seth, what do you think? Do you think that's too high of praise for the Lakers? I know you hate them, so this must upset you, but I really think they have a chance now.
No, I think it's fair to put them in tier 2 in the West, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
In a tier of themselves, and then some combination of Lakers, Nuggets, and then after that, depends
Memphis
on how you
and
feel
Houston
about Memphis.
Probably are also in tier 2,
Houston,
to be honest.
Clippers.
I drop
Sam
them down.
Obviously doesn't think so. I mean, I feel like Memphis is one of those like.
Memphis is weird. I still don't know how to treat them.
What else are they supposed to do for people to take them seriously?
Memphis could outrun them. Yeah.
Ja hasn't been great this year, but either way, the one thing is
I think they're going to play a lot differently than the Mavs from last year because of LeBron, and now they have this. LeBron and Luka are in a lot of ways similar players, similar playmakers, and we're just trusting that they'll figure it out because they're geniuses, and I think they will.
There were concerns when LeBron joined the Heat about how that fit would be. And now you add Truly, it probably goes LeBron, Jokic, Luka as top 3 best
probably
ball knowers of all time.
That might be the best passers of our lifetime besides Magic. I mean,
yeah, true. And just like maybe not all time's the right word, but at least current NBA players. There's
Hmm.
hands down, there's no one else. There's a lot of questions I think around the Mark Williams defense. Uh, I think
But
it's
it's
tough to play defense when you're on one of the worst teams in the league that's not an organized basketball team in general. This
100%.
man came into the NBA. He was drafted. He was the ACC Defensive Player of the year he was drafted. And you're going to tell me he's just bad at defense all of a sudden in the NBA? You put him around someone that's going to hold him accountable in LeBron and JJ Redick and put him in a winning team. I think we're gonna be really surprised at what he's doing on the defensive end in the second half of the season and come the
I
playoffs.
agree. He's going to be Daniel Gafford crossed with Derek Lively. Like that's what he's going to be. You don't. You're not
This
playing
man has
defense in the Charlotte Hornets.
Mark Gafford. Mark Gafford. What the fuck am I saying right now?
Good.
It's happening.
Mark Williams. Do you realize that he has a longer standing reach than Victor Wembanyama? He is the longest standing reach in the NBA.
How could that be
It's pretty
possible?
wild.
He's got very long. He is.
He's like the
He's.
Sean Livingston of centers.
That's exactly it. You read my mind.
Hands
Okay,
past
the
his
thing you
knees.
haven't said though is that Mark Williams has played 4 of his games in his career.
I did say that if that's the main reason that I would be concerned is the injuries. And so, you know what? If he's injured, then that was a bad trade. But if he gets in the back of the tank with LeBron, they cuddle up in their little tank where they rejuvenate themselves. I think he'll be fine. Who
The thing
tries to get
is
back
like
on the court for Charlotte?
that's it. That's it. Who is putting themselves out there at any potential risk for injury on a team that's not winning anyways? So it's like I
Yeah.
don't really know how much of his injuries in the past or how many games he's missed really are games that he should have missed.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he wasn't injured, but I'm saying that he didn't rush back.
Well, also like the Charlotte organization is it's poorly run, I'll say. And so it could be a combination of the training, strength conditioning, and if I tweak a hammy and I'm on Charlotte, I'm gonna rehab a long time. That's all I'm saying. Uh, Seth, another thing I really love this team in the playoffs. I feel like most of all in the playoffs, if I can't score in the half court against a set defense, I'm not making it past, a couple rounds, right? And that's why I have qualms about Memphis and Houston. Now I look at the Lakers, they have the two best half court creators maybe in the league, right? Besides Jokic, like Kyle was saying, I got to give that team the edge, even if they're playing against a Memphis or Houston in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I
There's
mean,
a lot.
it's all so hard to predict. Like I am very curious to see how the rest of the regular season goes for the Lakers and what they look like and if they start stringing together wins or if there's a little bit of a learning
I'm sure there'll
curve
be
for
growing
playing
pains, right?
together and yeah. But yeah, I think there aren't going to be many teams in the West who look at their playoff schedule and see they're matched up with the Lakers and they're like, "Oh, great." I think most people are not going to want to play Luca and LeBron at the same time.
Any
So
lingering thoughts on this trade before we move on to others? I know it's a lot. We could go for 3 hours on this, but
yeah,
Yeah. The only thing I would say is like in addition to the core three now, I guess, Mark, LeBron, Luca, they're just surrounded by good defensive players, 3-and-D guys. I mean, Rui's shooting
Dorian,
42% from three this
Rui,
year. Did you have any clue that he was shooting 42% from three? I knew he was shooting well. I didn't know it was
yeah,
42%.
yeah,
DFS, Dorian Finney-Smith, 41%. Gabe Vincent recently has really been picking it up for
he
the
has. He
season.
seems healthy for the first time. Yeah,
Yeah, since that Miami run.
yeah,
Uh he's shooting 35% from three. And then Jared Vanderbilt is like the 1 through 4 kind of stopper,
yeah.
has looked great since he's come back. So shooting wise, he doesn't have it. But as a stopper and just on defense in general, man, I'm worried. They have the physicality to beat OKC, which is the one thing that we worry about with
Mm-hmm.
OKC.
Yeah. Yeah,
As an OKC fan, I'm worried.
if I were to make a prediction right now of how the Western Conference playoffs are going to go, and it's all going to depend on matchups and injuries, like it always does. I would predict that OKC beats the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. That would be my prediction right now.
I think that would be a 7-game series.
That would
I don't
be,
know who
as
I'd pick.
basketball fans, we deserve it though.
That's true. We do.
All right, let's move on
Lakers
to
fans don't deserve it, but that's fine.
let's move on to the other trades. I mean, the thing is that was the headliner, but this
Should we
trade
talk about
deadline,
Drew Eubanks and Patty Mills?
I would
Mhm.
love to. This
Dennis
trade
Schroeder got
deadline
dumped, I believe.
twice. This trade deadline is maybe the wildest in recent memory, and that was the headliner, but there were a few other big moves. If that was the only trade, that would have been crazy. But we also had De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs. This was one that was, our classic rumblings for weeks. We knew it was probably going to happen. The Spurs got De'Aaron Fox, and the Kings
And Jordan McLaughlin.
got Zach LaVine. A couple of first, seems like three, maybe only one or
It's
two
2.
convey, right?
The one first they got was Charlotte, which isn't going to convey. It'll convert to
Yeah,
two
it's
second
gonna
round picks.
basically be 2 seconds. The Chicago Bulls, let's not even talk about this right now. We get Zach Collins, who's my least favorite player in the league, and we get our own first back, even though we already would have had it because it was top 10 protected. Don't even talk about it right now. We'll have Bulls talk later. It's a terrible franchise. I think, Seth, this is a great trade for the Spurs. Fox wanted to be there. You don't find a lot of guys that want to be in a small market Texas team. They didn't have to give up Sohan, Vassell, or Castle. He's kind of a perfect fit with Wemby as far as their strengths and weaknesses kind of offsetting. I think it's just a win-win for them, Seth.
Yeah, huge win for the Spurs. Everyone loves it. Um, you can see how even though they're not the same age, like Fox is several years older than Wemby. Wemby is just so good; his timeline is accelerated, so he kind of fits Wemby's timeline perfectly. Um, and yeah, he's not Luka Doncic. He's not one of the top 10 players in the league, but
Top
he's a
30?
star, and they got him without giving up any of their biggest assets for the future. So I think it'll
It's
be great.
crazy.
God,
It's crazy that they, one, didn't have to give up any meaningful players in that trade, and two,
yeah.
held on to the Atlanta Hawks pick that they hold, which is unprotected for this upcoming draft, in which the Hawks have lost Jalen Johnson, uh, which
They kind of tanked at
oh
the
true, they
deadline.
did they traded Bogdanovich as well. They traded
And
most
Yeah.
of their
Hunter.
depth and Hunter. Like the Hawks seem to be potentially tanking without a draft pick, which makes no sense. But
Cooper Flag and Wemby together?
there is truly a
Can you
possibility
imagine?
that this happens now.
Dude,
And,
pray for the league.
it's insane. I don't know how they pulled this off. Um, the Sacramento Kings, on the other hand, got a ton of assets. Essentially, Fox has been the best this year. I think there's been a lot of things going on, however, on that team. There's been their coach was fired in the first
Right.
place. Uh, and then, a bunch of changes to the lineup. Fox wasn't really the primary ball handler. I said it before the year. The DeMar DeRozan signing, trade, whatever, made like no sense. He took away a lot of opportunities for Fox in the fourth, which is where he's really thrived a lot over the last few seasons. I mean, he's won clutch player of the year because of those. But now you pair him with Wemby, first
Mm.
game out the gate against Atlanta,
Well, we have
13
22 and
assists.
13.
Yeah, 24 and 13.
Mm.
Um, I mean, it's the downhill ability of Fox is unlike
So
anyone
fast.
else, unlike anyone else on the Spurs currently. The only thing is the only gripe I have, and I think it changes over time. That first and tonight too, there was a game. They're still starting Chris Paul, which doesn't make sense
Mm-hmm.
to me.
Yeah.
He needs to
Probably
be
easing
coming
him
off the
out.
bench. They got to ease him out because you could be easily one of the fastest paced teams in the league with obviously one of, if not the hardest to guard threat in the NBA in Wemby, and the two-man game between him and Fox is going to be nuts. So once that eases out, once they ease out Chris Paul,
Mm-hmm.
I think we see the Spurs kind of jump to the next level. I feel good about them potentially making the play-in. They should make the play-in at a minimum.
Yes, 100%. Seth, you look at this lineup now. I mean, this is like a playoff level roster. You got Wemby, Sohan, Vassell, Castle, Fox, CP3, Keldon, Champagny as your top eight. I mean, I honestly might pick them to sneak in the playoffs over like Dallas or like Golden State. I
No,
don't even
Dallas
know.
is staying in the playoffs.
Dallas is they're rioting in the streets in Dallas.
That doesn't affect the players on the court. They still have a great defensive and just basketball team, especially for the regular season.
It's gonna
Suns
be
and the
loaded. I
Kings
don't
probably
know.
drop out, to be honest with
Suns
you.
and Kings, yeah, it's a loaded bottom of the West, but man, I like this roster set with
Watch out
Fox,
for
and I like it for the
Portland.
future.
I'm
I'm
saying.
watching for him. I'm watching for him. Thank you.
Suns or Kings probably drop out though. I would think that the Spurs go on a run in the second half and they make one of those play-in spots. They're only two
Yeah, I
games
mean,
back from the Kings right now.
obviously this trade is more for future years than it is for this year, but it should help them enough where I would agree. I would think they would at least be in the play-in, and maybe sneak in with the 8 seed coming out of the
Definitely, I would
play-in.
think the Kings might sneak out. I mean, you
The
look at the
Kings started
Kings.
off hot after the firing, after they
Yeah,
fired their coach, but they've really been kind of not been great the last few
yeah.
games, and now you've just changed the dynamic completely. Yeah, I wasn't high on the Kings with DeMar in the first place, and now you've reassembled the Chicago Bulls in the Western
Oh, Bulls
Conference,
West, baby.
I
You
will
and
take a
if
say
European center, you take
it's a
DeMar, you take
little
Zach
and
LaVine.
you take a
it's a
forward
little
at the fourth pick of the
disrespectful.
draft. Um,
It's a little
I
It
mean,
is
it's
disrespectful
like
to say
disrespectful. You're
that
right, Seth.
it's
about
disrespectful
Sabonis.
to who? The Bulls or Sacramento?
Sabonis, just in general, it
Sabonis.
being better than Vooch. I would agree with that. But still,
I
your
mean,
your ceiling is not high, right, Seth?
Ceiling's not high.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're not going anywhere with this team, but Sabonis is by far the best player on the team, and would have been on the Bulls. And I think we all kind of like Zach LaVine,
Oh,
and
sure. I
so
just don't like I don't like the combo. I don't like the matching.
yeah,
We've seen what he is with DeMar DeRozan. He
yeah.
had his worst years of his career when he was paired with DeMar on the Bulls. And now you just paired him back up.
What's going to be interesting is how long Zach stays on the Kings, how long DeMar's there. If the Kings eventually flip Zach, and how much they get in return,
I'm sure
because
it'd be
one
more
of
than we
the
got.
right, that was one of the puzzling things about this trade deadline, and really the last couple of years. Like the Bulls have been trying to shop Zach LaVine. Looks like probably should have pulled the trigger on that a little bit earlier, but there just wasn't much of a market for him, and he is on a bad contract, so that'll probably change. But he's been really good, at least offensively.
Levine's been
Knockdown three
great.
point shooter. He's an efficient scorer. Like you could argue he's been playing better than De'Aaron Fox this year. And
They're pretty much
so,
equal.
yeah. So, I mean, I think the Kings got a decent return for Fox. I would have liked to see them get that Atlanta first.
Right.
Although, really, the team that probably should have gotten that Atlanta first is the Bulls, who are giving up
Never.
Levine, and
We
instead
want
they
our
just got
own pick that
nothing.
we were gonna have, Seth. You
Yeah,
don't
you didn't
understand.
really get anything at all.
We got
But
absolutely nothing.
Oh,
yeah,
whoa.
We
What
don't have time
about
to go into
Zach
this.
Collins, the worst player in the NBA?
yeah,
He might be bought out.
I hope he is. I don't want to see him on our court. And if he is, I'm going to throw a tomato at him.
We traded DeMar DeRozan for a player that's never played for us.
We got
yeah.
zero
So
first round picks for DeMar, Zach LaVine, and Alex Caruso.
you
You
just got
understand that?
Josh Giddey, basically. Yeah, it's tough.
I think I'm open. I'm open. I might be a Nuggets fan. I don't know.
Our front office, our current front office, when they took over, were gifted Kobe White, Lauri Markkanen, Zach
Right.
LaVine, and the fourth pick of the NBA draft. And we have turned that into Patrick Williams, who is now coming off the bench,
Oh, I hate him so much.
and Vucevic, who has been rumored in trades for years and doesn't contribute to winning.
I hate
And we
Vooch.
have one playoff appearance where we won one game.
Rough times
This is why I'm a
in Bulls land.
Knicks and a
I'm open.
OKC fan.
Listeners, try to sell me on your franchise, please. Let's go Butler to Warriors. Another big trade.
Oh,
Again,
true. I forgot about that one.
any one of these, no Luca, this would be headlining. We might even hop on
Yeah.
emergency pod, but we had Luca instead.
We need a week to take it all in.
Jimmy Butler to the Warriors. The Warriors get Butler, and Miami gets Andrew Wiggins, and also slow-mo Kyle Anderson.
There's a lot of
And a
things that
first-
happened, yeah.
And a first top 10 protected. Kyle, I'm not going to go into the whole thing, so I'm going to stop you right
The
there.
only other one is Dennis Schroeder got rerouted to Detroit, which
Dennis
I think
Schroeder's
is a good
been on
pickup.
5 teams, so I don't even give a shit.
Disgusting. Let him play half his games overseas, all right, or in Canada, and they'd be
Honestly?
on fire.
That's a good point. Seth, I liked it. Okay, I might be, I don't know. I don't know if I'm in the minority here, but I actually like this a lot for the Warriors. They did have to give him an extension for 69 mil, so that hurts. That really
No,
hurts.
no. He waived
69,
his
what?
No, yeah, you're wrong. He waived his player option.
Yeah, but he was going to get paid
but
next year anyway.
They signed him for 2 years, 121 mil.
I
So they
understand,
waived
but
it.
he was
So
going to
they're
get paid next year anyway.
He's averaging $60 million a year next year and
It's
the
a
year
lot.
after.
It's a lot. It's a lot of more money.
I think it's more than Steph. It's
And it
definitely
hurts.
more than Steph.
It hurts, for sure. It hurts. But Seth, I feel like if I'm Golden State and I wanted to make a move in Steph's post prime, Butler's a great fit for me. He's great at cutting, off ball movement, handoffs, all the things they love to do at Golden State. You know, they're not going to win the finals, I don't think. But I think they're a solid playoff team now. I think he's going to kind of go off because he's angry, whether it's, warranted or not. But I kind of like the move for the Warriors, Seth. I know you've been upset with Butler during this period, as we all kind of have been, but I think this is going to work out for the Warriors as far as kind of raising their floor.
Yeah, I think it is one of those deals where it makes sense for everybody involved. I think the Warriors wanted to make a statement and wanted to show their fans that they're not content just letting this era peter out. And they want to do something big to show that they're trying to win with Steph without completely compromising their future, right? They didn't trade Kuminga, didn't trade Moody, picks, etc. So I think it makes sense from that standpoint. Obviously, I'm not the biggest Jimmy Butler fan, but I do think he's an upgrade from Wiggins on the court. And I think it raises their ceiling. I don't think they have as much of a ceiling as obviously Thunder, Nuggets, Lakers, what we've been talking about, Rockets, but it raises their ceiling. And on the flip side, I think it's a home run for the Heat, who were in this stalemate with Jimmy Butler that was looking like, he might just stay, not get moved, potentially not play the rest of the season, and then they just lose him in free agency and they get cap space out of it. Now they got somebody in Andrew Wiggins who slides right into that 3 position, is not like a star power guy like Jimmy Butler. He's not someone who can put the team on his back like Jimmy has.
They don't need that with Hero.
Past. But yeah, they don't need that. He's a really good option, I think. And they recoup good value for Butler. So I think it was a great trade for the Heat. They can move on from this. I'm sure 5 years down the line they'll just remember when Jimmy beat the Bucks, as that 8 seed and the finals runs they had, and that will be forgotten. So
those were some of the craziest years, and I hate that it all happened in such a bad light. Obviously, Jimmy demanding the trade, and there's obviously been a bunch of stuff back and forth with him and Pat Riley in the front office, and
I mean, Pat Riley
I
and
mean,
Jimmy, it's like an unmovable force meeting an unmovable object, right? Those two personalities, like it wasn't gonna end well.
yeah, it's just it's tough because I mean, like you said, we saw Jimmy put the team on his back for multiple years and multiple runs to the final. I mean, he went toe to toe with LeBron in the finals in the bubble, right? That was that
Yeah.
year, and
Mm-hmm.
we got that iconic photo of Jimmy just leaning over the side behind the backboard. But
40-point
um,
triple double.
yeah,
Mm.
he truly put the team, the organization on his back. He, like it or not, Jimmy's one of the greatest Heat players of all time.
100%.
It doesn't matter, how things ended, but what they are getting, right, in Andrew Wiggins, I feel like no one's talking about him this year. He has better
He's
averages.
back.
He's back. Yeah, he has better averages across the board than that year that he made the All-Star team. He averages 17.2 points that year. He's got 17.6 this year. He's averaging the same amount of rebounds, same amount of assists, same amount of steals, same amount of blocks. So I mean, Wiggins has been quietly a really nice rebound from that year that he had last year, which there was obviously a lot of personal things
Off the
going
court
on.
stuff. Yeah.
Um, so it's a great get. Uh, he's not opposed to kind of taking the back seat on offense. He's not a guy that demands the ball like Jimmy does, right? And I think that was a lot of
Yeah.
the contention that kind of happened is there was a major transition this year
Yeah.
with the
From
Heat.
hero. Yeah.
Tyler
To
Hero is an
hero.
all-star
Yeah.
now. I mean,
Yeah.
he's averaging what 20 something 5 and 5. He's playing great basketball. They got a new center. They got Bam in the power forward spot now. They're kind of playing two bigs. They
Seth's
look,
boy, Khalil Ware.
yeah, they look good. To your point though,
They call him Timu Wemby.
my I like that a lot. That's a good one. Um,
Honestly, you watch him, he kind of moves like Wemby.
he
He
moves
Obviously
does.
not
just
like
like him
He
too.
smooth, but
does.
yeah.
You guys don't have Twitter, but if you do, follow Worldwide Wob.
Oh, we know
One,
Worldwide Web.
yeah, of course, who doesn't? He follows every police chase in California live. Fantastic. Second, he's been on this since the draft that Khalil Ware is basically just Wemby light. Either way, I like this move for the Warriors too. Obviously,
Yeah.
they're paying a lot, but
A lot.
the biggest worry I have, and I've had for years, Steve Kerr. I need
We
Steve
don't have a
to
time
own
for another
in.
Steve Kerr
I'm
rant.
just saying, I need him to own in this roster, right? Hone in this roster.
I think that's part of it, though, Kyle. They
It's
got rid of a
big.
lot of the fluff.
You would think. I think they need to go Steph, Pods,
Yes.
Jimmy,
Uh-huh.
Draymond, Quentin
Great.
Post. That's your guys.
Quentin, does he have to be included?
Who else are you starting there? Because they don't like Trace Jackson Davis.
Why don't they like him? I don't understand.
I don't know, but Quentin Post is great. He was great in
Fine.
college.
Fine.
He's an unselfish guy. He's gonna move the ball. He's gonna take what's
You're
given to
closing
him.
with Draymond at the 5 anyway. It's fine.
Most likely. Yes. That
I
needs to be
heard
that needs to be your set starting five going forward.
Give me the bench. Go ahead. Kaminga.
Coming off the bench, yeah, you obviously got Kuminga,
Uh-huh.
you got Moses Moody. You need to give Moody minutes. You can't have these things.
Fine.
We
Yes,
can't
I
have
get
this
it.
where
Keep
it's
going.
2 games where he's 15 points
I know.
and then he goes for 7 points and you sit him for 6 games.
Who else? Give me an
No.
8th man.
It's Looney.
That's it. Steve? Steve? That's it.
That's it.
Stevie?
That's your play-in lineup. That's your ticket
Agreed.
to a playoff spot.
I don't
They
want
have
to
a
see
playoff
any.
caliber team now. I do think Steph hasn't been great, but I think Jimmy opens things up the way he moves off ball, the way he knows, the way he plays defense.
I agree.
They're
He's
good.
kind of like Draymond, right? I mean, like, I agree. It's just like
And the
having
thing
two
is, like, a lot
Draymonds.
of people, right, worried. Oh, Draymond and Jimmy are going to get into it.
They're gonna feed off each other.
That's it. That's it exactly. The one thing Draymond respects is another person that's going to push back on him. And Jimmy's not taking shit. We know that. We just saw it for the last 3 months.
Now, Stevie, I don't want to see Pat Spencer out there, Steve. Steve, no
Dude.
Pat Spencer.
If Pat sees the court again when Jimmy is in the lineup, that's it. I've been calling it for Steve Kerr for years. That is it. 100% that's it.
I gotta admit, you didn't name Buddy Hield there. I'm not opposed to not naming Buddy Hield, but you didn't name him.
Buddy is doing what he does every year over the last 3 years. He starts
First
off
10
super
games,
hot.
great.
and then he's just ice cold. But we might get him in the playoffs. There's going to be a time where they're going to need to change some things up because they're down by 15 points. He's going to put Buddy in, and he's going to go like 5 for 7 from 3 and bring him back.
No, he's gonna put Pat Spencer in instead.
Are they
Seth,
playing lacrosse?
Seth, I'll let you pick one more trade to discuss, and then we must hit the Super Bowl. One more. You can choose Brandon Ingram to the Raptors. You could choose DeAndre Hunter to the Cavs. You
It's
could
got to be
choose.
DeAndre.
Hey, it's not up to you. You
It's
could
gotta be.
choose Kyle Kuzma to the Bucks. You could choose anything else. Seth, I leave it to you. Kyle, you cannot speak. Seth, go.
DeAndre is the trade that has the most consequences as far as
You don't have to
playoffs and
bend
what
to
we actually
Kyle's
care
will.
about.
Bend the knee, bitch.
And for that reason, I'd like to discuss Dennis
Kyle
Schroeder
Kuzma, give it.
getting passed around like
Yeah, it's huge for the Cavs, right?
yeah, I think it's a good swing for them. And, you know, other people have said this on other podcasts, but talking about it would have been very easy for the Cavs to not make any trades and to just roll with this team. And I think it shows some gumption to say, you know what, this is an area where we could improve, getting some longer, at least theoretically better defenders. And I think
He's a much better defender than what they gave up.
yeah, and I think if he's motivated and if it's, you know, a consequential game,
He's having a
he's
career
going to be
year.
locked in. Yeah, and he's shooting well from 3 this year, so I think it's a big improvement over Niang and Karis LeVert, especially on the defensive end.
The minivan.
And yeah, so I like the acquisition for Hunter. Obviously, I'm still going to take the Celtics over them, but I think it helps. Yeah.
He would
It's
take the
massive.
Celtics?
Though.
It's massive for their matchup against the Celtics, which I think is
Yeah.
really what the whole thing was for, right?
100%. They've been searching for this for years. Someone to guard Tatum or Brown, right?
Right. This is what you need. You need that big wing that can guard one of those guys, which is the one thing that they were really lacking. He's nearly averaging a 50, 40, 90 season. It's very close. He's not there, but he's almost averaging it. Off the bench in Atlanta. And you didn't really give up much to get him. I mean, this is the best way for a smaller market team really to approach things, right? Karis LeVert, he's been great, but at the same time, he's not given the defense that DeAndre Hunter has.
Yeah.
Niang has been food against Boston all year. Every time they've played, they search that matchup every single time. We saw it in the first matchup. Tatum searched for that, had the push off, game-winning shot.
He has to say push off just to piss Seth off.
You're not doing that against Hunter. You paired him up with his buddy from UVA, Wahoo Wah,
Ty
I
Jerome.
think. Yeah, Ty Jerome.
Wahoo Wah. Shout out Nick, Laura listener.
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty dangerous closing lineup as long as they close with Hunter, with Garland, Mitchell, Hunter, Mobley, and Allen. That's hard to score on.
Yeah, and if
That's
you
a
need
great
a little,
move for the playoffs.
And you might put Strus in there if you're feeling saucy on the day. You just have options now, right? Something
You got a
that they've been
guy.
searching
You got
for.
a guy that come off the bench to create his own shot. One at the wing position, and
Yeah.
two that can close the game. Where, hey, you're doubling Mitchell, you're doubling Garland, whatever it may be. You toss it to Hunter, he's gonna get his. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
great move, fantastic
Great move.
moves. The one team in the East that I think we all had as a potential finals contender. They're the only ones that made a move, a significant move, or any move actually, because Boston didn't do anything, and
Boston traded away Jaden Springer actually to save money.
He got bought out or waived. And the Knicks didn't do anything. So
we also
on the other hand,
Torrey Craig.
True, they did pick up Torrey Craig on the buyout market.
Knicks, I'm a little worried.
I'm not worried because you know what this means? They have faith in Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson is healthy. He's supposed to be coming back. What do you mean you don't?
I'm just worried. He's always injured. He's like the Mark Williams of the Knicks.
And they've been great without him all year. They're just adding depth by adding Mitchell Robinson, and they didn't feel the need to go out to get anyone else. I don't blame them.
Risky.
They're a top 3 seed, and they're what, 2 games back of Boston for the second seed in the year without Mitch, and now you're going to add
Mitch.
one of your best defensive players in the front court
He's on a nickname
that you've been
basis with
missing.
him.
So I don't mind it for the Knicks, but it's I think it's a needle mover for the Celtics.
I think it's got to be Celtics, Cavs, or Celtics, Knicks. I don't see, barring injury, any other Eastern Conference final at this time.
It's one of those three, or two of those three.
We simply have to preview the Super Bowl. You understand that? It's happening this Sunday. It's an hour in. We've only been talking NBA. If you've gotten this far with us and you only care about football, congrats. I hope you learned a few things along the way. The Super Bowl. We're going to preview it in about 10 minutes or less. I'll tell you that right now. We're going to pick the winner. We're going to pick the MVP. We're going to give a couple props. I'll go first. Thanks for asking. Now, this is a little dicey because Kyle and I are in a playoff pick pool together. Well, Seth
It
is there
doesn't
too.
fucking matter. It doesn't matter.
Seth is also in it, but he's out
Piss
of it
me
already.
off with it. It doesn't matter.
If
Why?
Kyle gets it right, he wins. If
So
I get it,
Sam keeps asking me, who are you picking? So I could pick the opposite. And
That's
I keep
correct.
telling him, it doesn't matter who I pick. Because if I pick it right, then I win. And
but
if I pick it wrong,
you get it
then
wrong, I
lose.
better pick the other team. Because if we pick the same team,
So
you're going to
just
beat me.
pick who you want. Because if I pick right and you pick the same team, then you come in second. But if
Tied for
I pick
second.
right and you pick wrong, then you're not making any money. So it
I'll
doesn't
pick-
matter what I pick.
I'll take the Chiefs. They have Mahomes. They have Andy Reid.
I've heard
They
of
have
him.
Spags. They have the best offensive mind and the best defensive mind. It could be argued in the league. I just think these are pretty evenly matched teams. I think has a chance to be a close game. I'd like to ride with Mahomes and Reed in a close game, and Spags, who always calls up the perfect play. Obviously, won't be surprised if the Eagles win. They're one of the best rosters we've seen in NFL in the recent history. But when I wake up Monday and I will have picked a team, I will feel more dumb if I picked against the Chiefs and they win again. Therefore, I will be taking the Chiefs as my official pick. Seth, what say you?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to win. And even if I didn't, it's one of those, what are you going to feel more dumb about being wrong about? And if I just pick the Eagles and then the Chiefs win because it was inevitable and it's Mahomes, and why would I bet against him? I'm going to feel real dumb. If it's, you know what, Eagles are just a better team. Saquon goes off. Chiefs didn't
Saquon's not
quite
going
have
off.
it. You know, if that happens and I picked against it, I can live with it. But I would not forgive myself as easily if I picked against Mahomes and then he does what he's been doing the last 3 years, really his whole career. So
Kyle, tell me one of us is picking against the Chiefs.
I think I have to.
Someone's got to do it.
I mean, first of all, the Eagles should have won in this same matchup just a mere 2 years ago.
True.
We had some very bad officiating. You have a mug
It's why I have a mug with Carl Sheffers on the cover.
on the mug because of that. This Eagles defense is better than that Eagles defense was. We've been talking all year about the Chiefs pulling it off in the last couple minutes every single game. You want to talk about Spags defense. On the other side, we have Vic Fangio running one of, if not the best defenses in the NFL.
Fanny pack banjo, baby.
Since 2019, the Chiefs average against the Fangio defense, they make it to the red zone 37% of the time. Same as they do against any team in the NFL. That's the same. But once they get into the red zone, their touchdown rate against all other teams in the NFL, 62%. Against Fangio in that same time span, they got a 37% touchdown rate. In goal to go scenarios, They're scoring a touchdown against every other team 79% of the time. Against Fangio, it's 38% of the time. Fangio has a plan for Mahomes and this Chiefs team. He has for the last 5 years. This is the best defense that I think we've seen Fangio coach personally in
Yeah.
that time span. They've been one of the best defenses in the NFL.
These might be the two best defenses in the NFL right here in this game.
Could be. And I mean, again, not much has changed. Well, you also have the big change in the backfield on the Eagles side of the ball than what we saw a couple years ago.
They're
We
definitely
have-
better, right? Since the first matchup, they have to be.
There's no doubt. And I mean, I feel like there's no doubt that the Chiefs are worse. Yes, they made it, but they're nowhere near the caliber of team that they were 2 years ago.
I would say
Kelsey's
their
2
defense
years
is
older.
probably better. Offense probably
I don't know
worse.
if their defense is actually better. Offense is definitely worse.
Yeah.
The one thing I worry about, and I don't even know if I worry, but the Chiefs and the NFL have both reached out to Pat Riley because obviously he's trademarked the term three-peat. They've
We're
got
back to Pat Riley, baby.
approval from Pat Riley to use the term three-peat on merchandise after the game. Are we going to see some bullshit with the refs again like we did 2 years ago? Like we've been seeing all
100%
season?
we are. What kind of question is that?
And that's the biggest worry. Like, I hate to be the one to talk about, be like conspiracy theories and like the refs are in on it, but like, I mean, the Chiefs or the Eagles have a better team, top to bottom for the most part. Quarterback aside, at least, they have the better team. So I'm going to take the Eagles to win. I'm worried about it because obviously the NFL would love to have the first three-peat ever in NFL history. And obviously Kelsey would love to go out on top. He'd love to propose to Taylor Swift. He'd love to announce his retirement all after the last win of a three-peat.
Yes,
Those are
yes.
all the things going against me.
I look forward to my mug with the ref of whoever ref this Super Bowl. That'll add to my collection.
But
Thank
I'm
you.
still going to go with the Eagles because I think ultimately, like I said, besides quarterback, top to bottom, they have the best roster.
Seth,
They've shown it all year.
Seth, you have to go Eagles for our bet, right? We have a yearly bet, and I called Chiefs.
You have to do it, Seth.
No, I called it first. I had dibsies. I don't know what to tell. I don't know what to tell you.
And I said, I mean, I got to pick the Chiefs last year, so
It's only fair.
Yeah.
These are the two best teams in the NFL, I think, especially with the Lions' injuries on defense. So I've come around, Seth, have warmed up to this matchup, even though it's a repeat. Like, this is an exciting matchup, the two best teams in the league. Seth, I assume we're both picking Mahomes for our MVP if we're picking Chiefs, unless you want to go anything crazy on me. Kyle, who
If
you
the Chiefs
picking?
win, if the Chiefs win, it's going to be Mahomes. There's almost no doubt about it.
Kyle, you
Well,
going Hurts?
Who knows if
There's
some
a
like
chance
wild
for Kelsey.
interception.
Yeah,
Nah,
sure.
If the
It's
Chiefs
like a
win, I
pick
really
six to
don't
win the
think.
game or something, but
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
There's actually been more defensive players to win an MVP than a skill player, meaning a running back, wide receiver, or a tight end.
Yeah,
Did you know
it
that in
happens more
NFL
than
history?
you think. Yeah. Just because a lot of times if a skilled player is successful, the quarterback's
The
also
quarterback
involved, right?
gets it. Right, exactly.
Kyle, you going to go Hurts then for your MVP?
No.
Would you
AJ
like to share
Brown.
with the team? We just
Going
went through
against
how
the stat that he
often
just
it's a QB related, and you said skilled players don't win as often, but you're going AJ.
They don't win as often, but I'm not saying they never win.
And skilled players aren't usually reading a book at the sideline like AJ is, so that gives them the leg up.
Exactly.
great point.
Let's get. You know what? We're gonna get out of here soon. I swear to you, listeners. I know you're an hour and a half in. You're thinking, do I even care about this podcast? Do I like these guys? No and no. We're gonna give 2 props each for the Super Bowl, and these are winners. So this is where you make your cash. Something for you to have listened all this way for. Okay, I'll go first. Thanks for asking. I say it every year. Kyle's gonna be mad at me. I'm gonna say it again. Shortest touchdown under 1.5 yards.
It's got to be minus money this year, right?
Oh, it's been minus for years.
Yeah, yeah.
If you can find it under minus 200, I've seen it a couple places, at minus 175, minus 180. You slam it. You put the mortgage down. I don't care what it takes. First of all, it hits all the time. It hits almost every game. Didn't hit last year, so it's due. Secondly, secondly, there's literally a play designed for the Eagles called the tush push, the brotherly shove for such scenarios. It's happening. You can also bet Hurts anytime touchdown at even money to kind of pair with it. I would recommend that as well. Book it. Shortest touchdown under 1.5. Seth, what do you got?
So there's a couple that I like. I know on FanDuel they have the little ringer boosts.
Excuse me. We're sponsored by DraftKings.
That's interesting. I like what they call the Sal special. Eagles to be leading at halftime, Chiefs to win the game.
I like that, honestly.
Plus 700. That's probably my favorite. Kyle, what say you?
Yeah, I like that a lot, Seth. Kyle won't like it, but it's okay.
So it's kind of two bets in one here. Just bet essentially on each defense to score a touchdown. So you bet on the Chiefs defense. I think at DraftKings offer DST, so you get special teams in there as well. It's a little bit less of a payout than if you go FanDuel, which I think only offers defense. Either way, just put a little bit on both. Each defense there, Chiefs and the Eagles to score a touchdown. There's been 22 defensive touchdowns in Super Bowl history.
That's a lot.
And yeah, 19 of the 58 Super Bowls there's been a defensive touchdown. If you want to get a little crazy with it,
I'm writing this down, Kyle.
Yeah, if you want to get a little crazy, it's not even that crazy. Chiefs defense, special teams, anytime touchdown. Chiefs money line is I think plus 850. The winning Super Bowl team that scored a defensive touchdown has won 16 of the 58 Super Bowls. So pair them both, get a little bit of an extra juice in there.
Like with the money line of the team that scores the defensive touchdown. So you go
Correct.
Chiefs defensive money line, Eagles. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and then Eagles defensive special teams anytime touchdown, and Eagles money line is plus 900. So that's where I'm at for. I guess it's two bets.
That's
But I'm
still
just
one
saying,
prop though.
Sprinkle it on the defense, right? The other one here, and Sam, I think you're gonna really like this one.
I've already bet it.
Mahomes, longest rush over 11 and a half.
11 and a
yards.
half. Oh, I'm all over it.
He's hit this in 6 of his last 12 playoff games and 3 of his last 5 games against Fangio.
You know, he has those little scampers where he holds the ball out past the first down. You're like, how do you get a first down? It's because, there's a flag if you hit him in bounds because he's Mahomes. And then he just gets his 12 yards.
Yeah.
Kyle, I also like Mahomes' attempts over 5.5. I mean, he had 11 last week or 2 weeks ago in the conference championship. Kneel downs count if you think the Chiefs are going to be, winning at the end. I'm all over the Mahomes running.
Yeah, in his last 3 against the Fangio defense, he's gone for 54, 24, and 41 rushing yards. 8 runs of double-digit yards in his last 5 games against Fangio. One in every matchup against Fangio. So 11 and a half, I think it's minus 115, minus 120 or so.
Pound it.
Sprinkle on the 20 plus rushing yards from Mahomes too, or 20 plus longest run. I think it's like plus 300.
I'm sprinkling on 40 plus, 50 plus rushing yards too.
Also, Devontae Adams, Jesus
I'm
Christ.
listening.
Devonta Smith absolutely eats against Spag defenses. So catches, yards, all of it. A little bit on some alt lines there.
I like that. Seth, what are you gonna say?
There is a parlay. Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes both record a 25 plus yard rush. Plus 30.
What are the odds? 38 to 1?
Yeah.
I need to make a call.
It seems pretty doable, you know?
You need to get that house sold immediately.
I'm writing that down, Seth. That seems like a sucker bet. I'm going to bet so much on it.
Yeah. It's one of those like you have hope the whole game, you know. At any moment, you're like, well, all they have to do is break one.
Yeah. You know what else I like? And again, put your mortgage on all of these. You understand that? Okay? Bet responsibly. First touchdown, tight end, 420. You
Both
get
defenses are terrible against tight ends. Travis Kelce, over the last like couple years, has been the first Chiefs touchdown in a playoff game. The majority of the time. Great call.
I mean, plus you get Kelsey and Goddard, right? You also get Calcaterra, sneaky. Noah
He's not-
Gray, sneaky. You never
Noah
know.
Gray is sneaky. That's sneaky. Calcaterra is not.
So, I've seen worse tight ends than Calcaterra. That's all.
What's the odds on that?
Plus 420.
That's not bad. What are the odds on like a
Running
Kelsey
back's
or
favorite, I think.
yeah, of course. That's weird
Um,
though. What's QB? Do you know?
I haven't gone through the numbers. I haven't crunched them. But I
What
think
are
it
we
goes
doing here?
running back, or I think it goes running back, wide receiver, tight end, if I recall correctly. QB is sneaky though.
QB's really sneaky.
Might dabble. You
I'm
can also
excited.
you can also get Mahomes first touchdown 18-1. I don't know.
So
Maybe
if
I
Mahomes
sprinkle.
is 18-1 as the first touchdown, Hurts
Hurts
is
is
be
probably
like
200 or
14-1. No.
No.
There's no way he's only 200.
For first touchdown? Yeah, you're right. It's more than that, but it's less than 14-1. That's for sure. Don't worry. I'll look right now on DraftKings who sponsors this podcast. Any other mention we made of another whatever book doesn't count.
Touchdown score props.
Jalen is first touchdown plus 600.
600. Okay. Split the difference then.
Yeah, that was exactly between what we said.
It's not bad.
It's gonna be a good game. I'm excited.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I really hope. I don't think you guys are actually cheering for the Chiefs. You guys you want the Eagles to win, right?
I want Saquon to win, honestly.
True.
Yeah.
I could take or leave everyone else on the Eagles.
We love
Yeah,
AJ Brown. We love Jalen Hurts.
Couldn't say I love either one of them, to be honest.
We love the whites on the defensive side.
Love the exciting whites.
They got a podcast coming out this offseason.
Wow.
They're going to drink white wine and talk about whatever.
That sounds great. Isn't that what we're basically doing here?
None of us have
That's fine.
wine, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's a good game. And I'm excited for this matchup. I think it'll be great either way. Either the Eagles stop the three-peat or the Chiefs get a three-peat.
I mean, what a storyline. The opportunity to stop the three-peat that was started
Yeah.
with you in the first place.
Right. Or stop
Can they
it,
do
or
it?
stop it, or it happens. Yeah. I don't think we have anything else to say.
I
Frankly.
can go on for hours.
I mean, I could too, but I kind of have to pee.
Well,
I'm
that's
surprised you
true.
held in this long, honestly.
Kyle, now more than ever, our listeners need something to take them into the weekend after the NBA trade deadline, after the Super Bowl. What are they going to think about?
It's Super Bowl weekend
Mm,
and all through the house.
mm,
Not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse.
mm-mm,
My pockets were talking. They
mm.
want to be free. The money in there would like to come back to me. It probably won't
Mm.
if history is true. But I'm going to bet it all. And the Eagles, it's all on you.
Amen.